Welcome back to the second half of Adult Education Presents Brooklyn. Our third speaker of the night, Heather Quinlan, is a filmmaker whose documentary, If These Knishes Could Talk, which you can find at NewYorkAccentFilm.com, chronicles the evolution of the New York accent. Everyone please welcome Heather Quinlan.
Bear with me, I just rehearsed this literally seconds before.
Smuts. Stugats.
Freaking A!
Hey, your mother.
And your mama's too.
Chookish.
Joey Bag of Donuts.
Bangul! Dick. Schmuck. Here come some kids, these liberal Brooklyn Heights kids, let's say fuck in front of their parents. I'm old. Fuck.
Rain.
What do you guys get? That's it, I'm done.
Alright, well, welcome to the Brooklyn accent. I'm Heather Quinlan, and as was mentioned, I'm directing a documentary on the New York accent called If These Knishes Could Talk, and it is about where the accent came from, where it's going. And since I started working on the film, the thing that I really hear most is like guys saying, "What, you think I got an accent?" But no, not at all. But the other thing I hear is people saying I have a Brooklyn accent, or he has a Brooklyn accent. And I was wondering, well, what is this Brooklyn accent? I mean, my mother and I are from Staten Island. My father was from the Bronx. What makes the Brooklyn accent so different? And I wanted to get to the bottom of that. So we'll start with like kind of words you think of when you think of the Brooklyn accent. Coffee. Coffee talk. Cab. D's, dem, and does. All due respect. And this one. Definitely. But I have to say, I'd heard these words throughout the city, and even forget about it, one of the guys that I filmed was born and raised in Little Italy, and even said forget about it all the time, and said that he had to actually stop saying it because people thought he was quoting a Scorsese movie. So I felt like I had to dig deeper, so I kind of went and I asked a lot of people, talked to New Yorkers, talked to linguists, dialect coaches, and I think I really found out what the truth is behind the mystery of the Brooklyn accent. But before I tell you, I want to see if you can figure out what a Brooklyn accent is on your own. If I have any native New Yorkers out there, I wanted to. All right. So I put together a little game. I don't know if you know, to tell the truth, it's an old game show where three people would walk up on a stage and say like, I'm Heather Quinlan, I'm Heather Quinlan, I'm Heather Quinlan, and it's up to the panel to decide who's the real Heather Quinlan. And so I have three people, each claim they're from Brooklyn. Really? They've recited a little poem to help you out, so here we go. Oh God, let me try this again.
I'm Frankie, I'm from Brooklyn.
I'm Ron and I'm from Brooklyn.
And I'm Ellie, and I'm from Brooklyn.
Mary had a little lamb. The fleece was white as snow. And everywhere the lamb was sure to go.
Mary had a little lamb. Everywhere the Mary went, the lamb was sure to go.
Mary had a little lamb whose fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go.
All right, so who is it? Is it number one, number two, number three?
All three of them. All three of them.
The answer's none of them. I don't want to hear it. There's a reason why I did that. The reason is there is no Brooklyn accent. I'm sorry to reveal that one to you, but there is an accent in Brooklyn. Don't worry. But it's not a Brooklyn accent necessarily. It's a Jewish New York accent, or a Puerto Rican New York accent, or an Italian New York accent, like the cast of The Godfather here. And I don't mention The Godfather facetiously. If this presentation had been done 60 or 70 years ago, and I asked the group, what do you think of when you think of a New York accent, you would think of Jimmy Cagney. But thank you. So, yes, Stuyvesant High School graduate. Yes, we have some in the house tonight. And so the reason that it changed is I think the Irish culture more assimilated into the United States, and also the popularity of The Godfather and Serpico and Goodfellas sort of changed the public perception on what the New York sound was, and then they started to think of it as very Italian. Definitely the Brooklyn accent as very Italian. And there might be some words that are particular to Brooklyn. Manhattan, for instance, is called the city in Brooklyn, whereas in the Bronx it's referred to as downtown, for obvious reasons. But by and large, it's not like with My Fair Lady when Henry Higgins said that he could pick out a guy within a block from his accent. It's not like that anymore because there's a lot of interborough mingling. And, you don't... Nasty. I like that. And now I've lost my train of thought. Thus, you meet a girl, you settle down, and you move to New Jersey, or you don't stay in the neighborhood all the time. But even though there is no Brooklyn per se accent, I'm going to talk a little bit about the accents that are in Brooklyn, and we'll see what goes into it. Now, there are many theories as to where they came from. Obviously, there were no recording devices when the accent started, so nobody could be like, hey, we're starting an accent here. Somebody grab a tape recorder. So everything is pretty much a theory, but one of the most popular theories was developed by a linguist named William LeBeouf, who literally wrote the book on the New York accent. And his belief is that the accent began with the colonization of the English, largely because of that dropped R that you hear after a vowel like New York. If you think about it in an English accent, like father, mother, I can't do an English accent, but you can make your best guess. Very similar to that, or a nice bridge between the two, very upper class accent of FDR, talking about, say, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. The way he pronounced fear, fear, like that. And so it's all sort of part of the same animal, although his dropped R's are much more blue blood than Bensonhurst, but it's all kind of the same thing. And it's not just New York that has it, but all these other sort of places that were colonized by the English. We have New England with the Park you call it Harvard Yard, and down in the South, and all those kind of things. What is interesting also with those dropped R's is that in New York, the speaker on some level will know that they've dropped an R and put it back in places that it doesn't belong. So the name Linda becomes and Victoria, as you can guess, Victoria, yes. Another influence after the English came the Irish, and once they started coming in, we heard earlier about Green Pernt, the garden spotted in a voice. That's the Irish influence right there, because the Irish tended to flip the OI sound and the ER or IR sound. So you have the very famous Earl for oil, girl for boil, green point, green pernt, universe, univoice, that kind of thing. And Archie Bunker, Gloria, Little Goyle, that kind of thing. And Turlet, yes, we can't forget Turlet. I forget Turlet. And then we have the next wave of immigrants, the Italians and the Jews came. And the Italian influence, I'm kind of running out of time, but I can tell you really quickly. use. Use, I think, came from Italian. I think it was because you don't use when you're talking to one person. You use when you're talking to two or more people. And it's because there's no plural you in the English language, but there is in Italian. And what they did was they added an S. Makes sense. Use. And then the Jewish New York accent, Long Island. I think that Long Island is both a place and a victim of what is known as the intrusive G. And I think that comes from Yiddish speakers. There is no soft G in Yiddish like Jim. It's all hard G's. So if you see a word that ends in ing and you're a Yiddish speaker, it's going is going. Seeing is seeing. Long is long. They also mess up their syntax a little bit, so you get a lot of "you should live so long," "I should be so lucky," "a genius he isn't." Things like that. The last thing I'm going to end on, I think, is a lot of what you think of with the New York accent. There's a lot of unspokenness in the New York accent. A lot of it is gestures and the all that kind of stuff. Very physical language because it's a very physical place. You're sort of jostling for position and all that kind of thing. So I met a theater director from Coney Island, actually, who is going to show. This is for my film. I haven't mixed the audio or anything like that, but you'll figure it out. He is going to show you about the unspoken New York accent. So there we go.
Is there an accent in American Sign Language? Yes, there's an accent in ASL. Is there a New York accent? Yes, there's a New York accent. New York accent's very different. Body language, the facial expressions, the signing in itself is different. All three of those characters, except one you know is a New York percent. New York, the sign is really fast. Very different. In Ohio, where I worked for a time, the sign is very laid back. Slow-paced, easy, nice, calm, clear. I felt very relaxed when I was signing. Everything's so fast, and it's just, I had to catch up again because it was just, I feel like every day it's just fast, everything's going by so quickly, so the signs are quick, and yeah, that's how it is in New York. It influenced me, that's why. Is there slang in New York Sign Language? Yes. But for example, Harlem, the sign for Harlem here is it's only used in New York. Why? Because really, they have, it's the area and the language and the attitude really of Harlem, the straightforwardness, that's their language, that's how they speak. So Harlem. Here in New York, do they curse more? Yes. For example, people don't know New York, but here in New York, we add a lot to them, or to the meaning, so motherfuck and
Heather Quinlan, everybody. That was great. Here all along, I thought I had a little bit of Queens, and it turns out it's just a lot of Jew.